Hello everyone! We are back again with the next 10 titles in my top 100 JRPGs of all time. Today, we are starting at number 90 and counting down to 81, and if you missed the first video, you can check it out in the details below. And once again, this is my personal list and it will be a lot different to yours, so let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Is something too high? Is something too low? I would love to hear what you think. And while being in the 80s may seem like a bad thing, I can assure you that it's not. Each and every one of these titles gave me a load of enjoyment, and every single game on this list is very easy to recommend. Before we get into it, if you got any enjoyment out of this video, hitting that like button, the super thanks, or commenting would help me out a lot. You could also subscribe for more RPG content, including the next installment of this top 100. Any support at all would be greatly appreciated. Alright, let's get into it.
Rend, slaughter, devour your enemies. There is no other way to survive.
At number 90, we have a duology of titles that are directly related to one another, but I'm counting them as a single entry here. Originally released in the mid-2000s for the PS2, Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2 are spin-offs of the Shin Megami Tensei series. These games are set in a dystopian world called the Junkyard, where various tribes fight for survival and dominance. The story begins with the tribes being infected by a demon virus, granting them the ability to turn into demons. To ascend to the promised land Nirvana, they must battle it out and devour their enemies. Digital Devil Saga follows a group of characters from the Embryon tribe led by Surf. As these characters uncover the hidden truths about their world, their identities, and the nature of their existence, they'll also face struggles in dealing with their new monstrous abilities and the ethical dilemmas of their survival instincts. Throw in a mysterious girl who fell from the sky and holds all the answers, and you'll be guessing what's going on throughout the entire game. I really liked this story. The dark dystopian setting and atmosphere, the mystery, and the characters were the things that really stood out for me. Then you've got your typical SMT press-turn combat system, which places a large emphasis on exploiting enemy weaknesses. This means that you'll be swapping party members in and out very frequently. There are also some pretty brutal difficulty spikes with some absolutely insanely difficult super bosses, so if you're up for a challenge, look no further. Digital Devil Saga is one of those games that is in desperate need of some sort of re-release. Fingers crossed that it happens soon. After playing through Phantasy Star 4 at the end of the millennium, nearly 30 years after it was released, it was easy to see why it was such a hit and why many people today still consider it one of their favourite RPGs of all time. Originally released in '93 for the Sega Genesis/Mega Drive, The End of the Millennium is the fourth title in the original Phantasy Star series. While the game is set 1000 years after Phantasy Star 2, it is still considered a standalone title, so you don't need to play any of the others to enjoy it. Phantasy Star 4 features a great blend of the fantasy and sci-fi genres, and I am a sucker for this type of setting. You play the role of Chaz, a young hunter who teams up with a fellow hunter Elise to solve some local problems. This soon leads to hunting down an evil cult leader, which then escalates into a much larger issue spanning over multiple planets. The story is very solid, and the characters that join up with you are all unique and likeable, and this creates some very entertaining party interactions. Something that I loved about this game is the comic book style presentation used to deliver the key scenes. These are the equivalent to what cutscenes or FMV sequences would be in later console generations. As you would expect from a retro game such as this, the turn-based combat is fairly simple. You can bring 5 characters into battle, and this lineup will change through the game based on where you are in the story. One of the standout features of this combat was the introduction of macros, which basically lets you pre-program character actions prior to battle. This not only helps you get through battles a lot quicker, but also assists in unleashing powerful combo attacks between your characters. If you want to see what this classic JRPG series is all about, Phantasy Star 4 is the way to go. Moon is the JRPG that made me realize what a jerk I've been over the past 25 years of gaming. This PS1 exclusive was stuck in Japan until its Switch release in 2020, which is when most of us from the West first played the game. Now, Moon is known as an anti-RPG, and this is because you don't play the role of the traditional RPG hero. Instead, your job is to spread the love. The actual hero is this jerk who has no regard for the well-being of others, storming through townspeople, stealing from others' houses, and slaughtering monsters all around the world. You know, the kind of things that you do in every other JRPG out there. Yeah, I'm looking at you. In Moon, you're just a seemingly regular boy, and in order to return home, you'll need to collect love by helping out NPCs and reviving fallen creatures. This story is entertaining and hilarious with a huge variety of quirky characters. When it comes to the gameplay, things are also a lot different to what you'd expect, such as the game having no battle system whatsoever. Moon instead plays out as more of a point-and-click adventure. There is an action limit gauge at the top, and this directly impacts what you're able to achieve in a day. This mechanic makes it so that you have to go into each day with a plan, as you can only achieve so much before time runs out. If you don't get back to bed in time, you are dead. When out exploring, it's up to you to solve the many puzzles around the world and help out as many NPCs as you can to obtain their love. Moon is not your typical RPG. This anti-RPG challenges those JRPG tropes that we've been experiencing for years. And as a result, we are presented with one unique, engaging, and at times hilarious ride. Moon knows exactly what it's trying to do, and it does it so well. Breath of Fire 5 Dragon Quarter is absolutely the black sheep of this beloved series. This game tore its fan base apart. Some absolutely loved what Dragon Quarter did, while others just couldn't seem to forgive its completely different direction and brutal mechanics. You remember those things you loved about the previous games? Yep, you're not going to see most of them this time around. So then, what is Dragon Quarter all about? A long time before the start of the game, humanity was forced to flee from the desolate surface to live underground. You play the role of Ryu, a low-level ranger who ends up rebelling against his government in order to save the life of Nina. She is a mysterious child who needs clean air to survive, something that the underground cannot provide. The majority of the story involves the struggles of Ryu, Nina, and Lin as they attempt to reach the world's surface so that Nina can live. Yep, the entire game is set underground without the freedom to explore the world, which is what this series was previously known for. With that said, Dragon Quarter does create amazing atmosphere down there with its cel-shaded graphics and dark, depressing environments highlighted by an awesome soundtrack. But this change in setting isn't the major factor that divided fans. It is the SOUL system, which stands for Scenario Overlay System. This mechanic encouraging players to return to previous points of the game or even restart the game completely. Why would you want to do that, you ask? Great question. The Breath of Fire series is all about Ryu turning into a dragon and unleashing havoc on his enemies. This time around, he can still do that, except for the fact that if he does it too often, it will be game over and you'll have to start the game all over again. Every time Ryu transforms and unleashes a move in his dragon form, the counter at the top of the screen will go up. Once it reaches 100%, game over. The true challenge of Dragon Quarter is managing the dragon counter and only using it when you absolutely have to. If you don't know what you're doing, this game will be absolutely brutal. I have never experienced anything else like this, but I grew to really appreciate the balls that this game had to try new things and truly challenge me. Breath of Fire 5 Dragon Quarter is a very unique experience with some great ideas, even if it's just not really Breath of Fire-y. Bravely Default 2 is a follow-up to Bravely 2nd and Bravely Default 1. These games are highly acclaimed for their job systems and unique Brave and Default battle mechanics, which is something that I think all JRPG fans should experience. Bravely Default 2 is set on the continent of Excellent and follows the four main characters, Seth, Gloria, Elvis, and Adele, who embark on a quest to retrieve the stolen elemental crystals. But the story isn't the reason why you should play the game. It is the outstanding combat and job systems. Basically, you've got your typical turn-based system with your 4 characters up against some enemies. Your characters can attack, use items, or use an ability from their current job or sub-job. However, it's in the Brave and Default mechanics where this system truly shines. When selecting Default, the character will guard and obtain a Brave point, and you can accumulate up to 3 of these. These Brave points can then be used to perform an additional action. For instance, if the character has 3 Brave points, they can use all 3 for a total of 4 different actions in a single turn. You can also go into Brave Point debt if you use more BP than you currently have. This is a great way to maximize your output, but at the expense of not being able to act for a few turns. What I love about this is how well it works in the whole scheme of things, as there are many other factors that influence when you should or shouldn't use Brave and Default. There is always a lot to think about and so many ways to go about each battle, which is particularly true for the boss fights. Add to this the excellent job system, which provides so many possibilities and combinations in battle, and you have some incredibly addictive gameplay. This all makes Bravely Default 2 a must-play JRPG. From the moment Alliance Alive was announced, I knew it was going to be something special. The reason being that it was written by the late Yoshitaka Murayama, who was the genius behind the Suikoden and Eiyuden Chronicle series. It had been about 10 years since he worked on anything, which is why I was so excited to see him back in action. Alliance Alive is a retro-feeling JRPG set in a fantasy world where its 4 main regions are separated by oceans and a mysterious barrier. This barrier not only confines each region, but also creates some very abnormal weather conditions. The story begins by following the actions of Galil and Azura, 2 humans who are members of the human resistance. After a few hours, the focus shifts to other characters' points of view in other parts of the world, with all of these characters eventually crossing paths and teaming up to uncover the mysteries of the Great Barrier and to regain their rights. There is definitely a Suikoden feel with the writing, in that an unlikely bunch of heroes end up forming alliances and fighting against a more powerful enemy. This also extends to the gameplay, where you can recruit over 150 NPCs around the world and assign them to different guilds for a load of bonuses. The turn-based combat pits 5 of your possible 12 party members against a bunch of enemies. Much of the strategy in battle involves selecting which weapons to equip and which weapon arts to use. It is very simple, but works surprisingly well. The same can be said about the unique upgrade mechanics, where you're given a chance to learn or upgrade a skill, or even to level up a character's HP or SP after battle. This chance is all based on complicated algorithms accounting for factors like enemy level, but I will say that this progression felt pretty good. Alliance Alive made me feel like I was playing a game from the 90s but in the modern day, and with all of the Suikoden-like additions, it is more than worthy of a spot in my top 100. After Star Ocean 5's abysmal reception, many fans felt that it spelt the end for this long-running sci-fi JRPG series. Fortunately, this wasn't the case, as in 2022, Star Ocean 6 The Divine Force was released. Star Ocean lived to see another day and was a strong bounce back for the series. The Divine Force takes place between Star Ocean 5 and Star Ocean 3 on the planet of Astra 4, and if you're new to the series, there is no requirement to have played the other games in the series, as Star Ocean 6 features a new world, new characters, and a new conflict. The game starts off with Raymond crashing down from the sky above and immediately makes it his mission to locate his companions. While on a mission of her own, Princess Letitia finds Raymond and the two end up teaming up together in the conflicts that come. Something that I really liked about the Divine Force's storytelling is its dual protagonist system. Star Ocean 6 returns to its Star Ocean 2 roots in the ability to choose the main protagonist, and while it doesn't impact the main story, it does change up a few scenes as well as characters that you can recruit. The Divine Force also features some pretty awesome exploration thanks to your little robot Duma, who allows you to zoom around the place, making vertical exploration possible. Like the exploration, the action-based combat also reaches a serious high. Here, you can map various attacks to 3 of the face buttons on the controller, and performing these attacks consumes different amounts of AP which recharges when you're not attacking. The more AP you have means that you can perform longer combos, and there is a lot of variety here. Each character also plays so differently to one another, ensuring that the combat never gets stale. Star Ocean 6 is one of the strongest titles in the series, and if you're looking for a place to start, this is as good a place as any. Scarlet Nexus was a bit of a surprise packet for me when I played it back in 2021. Everything I'd seen about the game was looking good, but I was surprised how much I actually enjoyed it. The game is set in the future where a specific hormone was discovered in the human brain. This provided the vast majority of humans with a range of different powers from psychokinesis to invisibility. Sometime after this discovery, strange mutant creatures known as Others descended to the world from above, wreaking havoc on the planet. At the start of the game, you get a choice between 2 main characters, Yuito and Kasane. They are members of the Others Suppression Force and both possess psychokinetic powers. Now, I am a sucker for sci-fi stories with strange yet interesting concepts, and Scarlet Nexus did not disappoint. The narrative unfolds in a series of phases, with each being well paced and gradually building up to the climax. This story is one of the best things about the game. The action-based combat is the other standout feature, which places a focus on throwing things around the battlefield with your mind. This is something that you don't see every day. This concept of using psychokinesis in battle is enhanced by the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers provided by the PS5 controllers, and this feels great. Your success in battle will depend on how well you can create combos through mixing your regular attacks in with throwing objects at your enemies, and this is so much fun. Add all this to some breathtaking anime style visuals and you have yourself a very unique must-play action JRPG experience, which is well deserving of a top 100 spot on the list. Wild Arms 3 is the 3rd installment in this Wild West inspired series, which was at the peak of its popularity in the mid-90s to mid-2000s. This particular installment was really special to me, and one that I'll hopefully be able to play again very soon. Wild Arms 3 follows the journey of 4 drifters, Virginia, Jet, Gallows and Clive, as they traverse the desolate world of Filgaia in hope of uncovering the secrets of ancient technology which could save the world from its impending doom. I've always been a huge fan of the Wild West theme here, with its motifs seamlessly woven into the story, art design and gameplay. This cel-shaded art looked great back then, and it's still a style that holds up today, which is more than you could say about many other games released in the early 2000s. Then there's the soundtrack, composed by Mashiko Naruke, which perfectly captures the essence of the Wild West. In regards to the battles, characters can use their accumulated force points to perform special abilities with their arms, which are essentially their unique guns. There's also a large emphasis on puzzle solving in dungeons, with the different characters having their own unique abilities to solve them. This is one of my favourite JRPGs when it comes to puzzle solving. Unfortunately, Wild Arms is yet another example of a series that seems to be dead in the water. With that said, some of the devs did successfully fund a Kickstarter project named Armed Fantasia, and this looks awesome. You should definitely keep your eyes open for this one in the coming years. I finally got to play Baton Kaitos back when it was remastered for the Switch last year. I mean, over the past 20 years, I just didn't stop hearing about this highly regarded GameCube JRPG and its unique combat system. Baton Kaitos is set within the floating continents. In the distant past, humanity were forced to migrate here from the uninhabitable toxic surface of the world. The game begins with the lead character Callus out on a journey for revenge. His goal is to avenge the death of his grandfather and younger brother, who were killed by members of the Empire. While the protagonist of the game is Callus, you instead play the role of you. There is a really interesting dynamic here that I've never seen before. You are a guardian spirit who are beings that watch over the spiriters, who in this case is Callus. The story was really cool with some great twists and turns, but it's the widely praised combat which makes use of cards that is the real standout feature. Each character will be able to create a deck with a certain number of cards depending on their class. These cards should be made up of a mix of attack cards, defense cards, and items. In battle, you'll be able to choose from several randomly selected cards from your deck. Using the right ones at the right time is crucial in stringing together combos and defending against powerful attacks. What I loved about this system is that there's a mix between luck, preparation, and strategy. The tides of battle will constantly be shifting based on your current cards, and this was exceptional game design. Bat and Kaitos is a cult classic for a reason, and easily one of my top 100 JRPGs of all time. And that was number 81 to 90 in my top 100 JRPGs of all time. What did you think of the list? Was something too high or something too low? Is there anything here you want to play? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to know more about any of these games, I've got full reviews out for most of them, so be sure to check out my channel. This was Hellfire RPGs, thanks for watching. It would help out this channel so much if you could hit like, comment, or sub for more RPG content coming soon. And of course, the next episode of 71 to 80 is going to be out soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. See you next time.